Hello, folks. um, Welcome to Quantitative Methods in Psychological Science, which is a way to use 14 syllables to say statistics. But welcome to fall term. I very much hope that this finds you and yours well, wherever you are out there in this very strange, very strange year. I imagine a number of you, if not all of you, probably have already had some experience starting back in the spring, maybe through summer, of dealing with this whole new set of circumstances in the way that we're approaching higher education and classes and everything else for that matter. Um, it's been clunky, it's been interesting. I feel like we've been actually pretty good about adapting and accommodating and those kinds of things. And despite the fact that it's been herky jerky, kind of bumpy along the way, I think we're getting pretty good at it going into the fall now. But that's not to say it isn't still going to be challenging in its own ways. So we'll talk about that a bit more as we sort of move along. But I mean, I know that a number of you still find yourselves in varying circumstances with, like, for instance, I have 4.5-year-old twins who are currently quarantining here at home with me, which is why I'm hiding in the bedroom and trying to put this together. Because the last thing I heard was some kind of screaming about, it's not baboon poop! And I'm just going to let that resolve itself. But I know I'm not the only one dealing with childcare, with employment, with financial, with all manner of challenges this year. And so I say that just because I very much want us to have an open line of communication. If there are issues you're running into, if there are challenges, hurdles, all this sort of thing, let me know. I'm trying as hard as I can to work with everybody this year in that regard. And there's something really special, too, to be said for in a year where there's a global pandemic. There are unspeakable wildfires all throughout the West. There's massive social upheaval and the election coming, and like you know the list, right? And yet somehow I still have no doubt that there are some folks out there that are looking at my class and thinking this is going to be the worst thing about 2020. And it's just inevitable. But it won't be. I say that now. Don't hold me to it. Um, so, welcome to Quant Stats, whatever you'd like to call it. I do hope that as you're going through, I know a number of you have already logged in, you started looking at the syllabus, started signing on for things. That's excellent. One of the weird things about these fall terms, as you know, is I keep wanting to call this week one. Realistically, we call this week zero because we're starting in the middle of the week. It throws everything off because we usually kind of work on this 10-week structure. But that being said, I actually feel like it can be a very positive thing. And this idea of week zero, to my way of thinking, is all right, we've got some intro time. We've got these next couple days going into the weekend for all of us, myself included, to keep going through materials, go through the syllabus, go through the schedule, go through all the introductory stuff in Canvas, get reasonably comfortable, not just with Canvas, but there's going to be, there's some moving parts in this course you're going to be seeing. So we're going to be using other software programs. We're going to be using Perusal. We're going to be relying on MindTap, which is the platform that's associated with the textbook that we're using for the course. Later on, we'll probably be using JASP or SPSS or some kind of statistical software. So there's a lot of moving parts. And the one thing that I'll say about that is we're going to try to do this sort of in a stepwise fashion. We're going to ease into things. I'm going to try very hard not to slam anybody with anything along the way, because that's not the goal. So with that being said, this 0 week, go through, just get reasonably comfortable with the layout of the course, get signed up, get the book, get signed up for the MindTap and the Perusal and those kinds of things. Introduce ourselves, chit chat, that kind of thing, and that way none of us gets hurt jumping in too quickly. And hopefully what that means too is that by Monday, we all feel at least comfortable enough that we can kind of hit the ground running, tie up whatever loose ends that we need to, and then shift right into what it is that we're going to be doing. So that's the goal, and what I'm going to come back to in just a moment is about Monday, because this course, unlike all of my others, this is the only one right now that on paper is still a hybrid course. And as to what that means, we'll talk about that. The one thing I wanted to mention before that, because I don't want to forget, is that so right now, hopefully all of you are going to be seeing this video. I put it together, in part, you're getting familiar with the course, you're going through the Canvas stuff, you're blah, 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 blah. So you kind of have the introduction part, but I also wanted to speak to the course a little bit, to introduce myself, put a face to the course, which I'm sorry, mine, but it is. And to just touch on a few of the details kind of moving along, because I know what it's like going through those introductory sections on Canvas. It's absolutely mind-numbing, the same way that syllabus is, all those sort of things. So in creating these videos, part of my goal is to actually kind of use these in lieu of sending out emails. You're maybe already noticing, like, I'm not bashful about talking. I'm just a very verbose person in general. So when I send out emails, they tend to be like small novellas. But with that being said, the thing I want to emphasize is that particularly this year, we're going to be adapting. Things might get shifted. Things might get changed. We're going to kind of be playing this stuff by ear. And in terms of communicating that, the way that I've found, occasionally I'll make announcements within Canvas, but to my way of thinking, I've always found email to be sort of the more like from me to you direct contact when I need to get information directly to you, especially when it comes to big things like fundamental changes within the course. So rather than typing out these big long emails, I've been putting these videos together with the idea that hopefully they're a little more accessible. Hopefully, instead of having to sit at the computer and stare at the screen and try to not fall asleep, you can turn it on, you can play with the dog, you can wash the dishes, whatever, still kind of get the information. But this relies on, like, you check your email. And I bring it up because, like, I've been using this for a little while, and even into this summer with my smaller classes, we would make some pretty large changes, and I would put together a video like this in which I go through step by step. We're not going to do this. We're going to retract that part. We're not going to do the final exam. Actually, we're just going to all show up at this place and play with golden retriever puppies, and everybody gets an A, and it's going to be great. But fundamental changes within a message, I'd send it out. I would get responses from a handful of people like, okay, got it, great, here we go, this is going to be wonderful. And then days later, week later, a little while later, moving along, then I start getting messages saying, I can't find the final, or I turned this in and I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. When I had put together a very long, very detailed, very explicit video that was very obviously not ever watched. So for what it's worth, open my emails. I know you get a million of them, but this is where all the important information is going to be. So for what it's worth, I put that out there. Okay, I know there's others that I'm forgetting. I'm putting a bunch of these together, and I think they're still alive out there. Got real quiet. But the thing that we need to address, the thing that's unique to our particular section, is that, as I said, this is a hybrid course. We are exclusively online, for all intents and purposes anyway, but we still have this scheduled class time, right? We are scheduled from 2 o'clock to 3:50 Monday afternoons, in the same way that had this course been taking place down at the Portland Center, as it initially was scheduled, we would have been meeting and doing lecture and lab stuff and whatever during that time. So the thing about this, and I'll try to be reasonably brief, but still explicit enough about it. This is totally unique. This is not something that like we've done before. When I got the message initially that said, hey, your section is still a go, and hey, it's still a hybrid, but hey, it's all online. That was about the extent of like the detail associated with it. In terms of How that plays itself out, what I do with it, what we do with it, is very much left open to interpretation. Now, I'm not going to spend the time running through every permutation that I've thought of about this, but rather than just kind of making a decision in my own head, like, well, this is what I'm going to do because this is what's going to be best, um, we're all in this together. We, this is, I know how important this course is. I know how important it is towards your degree, towards graduation. I want to utilize our time and our resources and everything along with this course in the way that is going to be the most helpful, the best situation for every one of you. And it's not clear to me necessarily what direction is going to be best. Now, one way that we can go about this is to still have that time. I can set up Zoom meetings that begin at 2 o'clock, run till 3:50, and we can use that time. I can make my way down to the Portland Center. I can set myself up in the room with the dry erase board, and we can use that time and do it like a lecture, only you're watching it from home instead of sitting in the classroom with me. Um, that seems semi-reasonable. We can use that time to have it be a collective login, and rather than it being I'm talking at you sort of lecture format, it could be more of a, what do y'all need? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to cover? Where are the hangups? What do you know? Do we need to talk about this? Is this particular concept difficult? Is this, and use the time in a more conversational way. That said, I think, the sections of this course filled up very, very quickly, and I have no doubt that there are a number of people in our course here who the 2 to 3:50 time really doesn't work for them to attend, whatever that means, but to still be here in an online aspect. And so in that regard, that brings up other possibilities of, if it's going to be extremely sparsely attended, if there's almost nobody that really is going to show up for a 2 to 3:50 time slot, perhaps it makes more sense for me to record lectures, upload them to be viewed at your own time frame rather than it has to be between 2 and 3:50, and then to take what would be that official 2 to 3:50 time and to set up maybe more than just that one chunk of time, but times in which, hey, this is where I'm just directly going to be on Zoom during Monday, during 2 to whatever time on Monday, and then again on Thursday from this to this time, where then you can hop in and we can work on whatever you're sort of working on or struggling with, that sort of thing. Again, I'm not going to try to run through all of the possibilities associated with this. What I did want to emphasize, and I need to curtail this because I'm rambling on, but I guess I'd prefer this be a slightly more democratic situation where I can get your feedback. I can get a sense for, what do you feel directly as an individual is going to be the most beneficial way of going about this. And I mean, I'm inviting a show in putting that out there, but it seems it seems the most reasonable and the most appropriate to my way of thinking. So this is the part I want to emphasize here. Put a big asterisk right here and underscore, boldface. We will meet on Monday, this coming Monday, at 2 o'clock. I will have Zoom set up. I will send the link out to all of you. Hopefully all of you, most of you, will be able to log in. Here's the big part. Between now and Monday of next week, I would really love to hear directly from you. I mean, if you have no preference whatsoever, then don't worry about it. But if you have a sense, well, you know what, I actually do with my work, I can't necessarily be there at that 2 to 3:50 time, so for me it would make a lot more sense to have it more dispersed. Or if you're like, I've already planned my life around this, I've already talked to my work and scheduled it such that I have that particular time on Mondays open, I want to know all that stuff so that I can sort of accumulate the best sense that I can for us as a collective. And then by the time we have our meeting, our class, or whatever you want to call it, on Monday, hopefully I've got a solution, at least statistically speaking, as to what the best option is going to be given the feedback that I receive from you. So take that as an official solicitation. Send me an email. Let me know. Let me know how strongly or not strongly, whatever. I'm going to do the best I can with everything that I receive. And we'll just take it from there. We're going to make it up as we go. And I'm pretty cozy with that. So we'll see. Okay. That was a lot of blah. I should probably go see if my children are, they didn't kill each other over the baboon poop situation. So look forward to working with you all. I'll probably get to know you better than any of my other online classes, because whatever capacity we have to meet. But I think it's going to be a good fall. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you. And like I said at the beginning, I hope that you and yours are well wherever this finds you. And we'll be in touch. All right. Cheers.